Good morning, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. Move my camera over a little bit. Hope you guys are on your purpose, on your plan. We are on Tuesday morning here, my friends, and we are going to continue to conquest and to overcome all the obstacles, the temptations, and continue battling on every day. Remember, the goal is, my friends, to be the best person you can become. And we're going to continue talking about this and working on this and continuing day by day, my friends, becoming better and better and better. Thank you guys for all the subscriptions, comments, likes. I've got to get to them probably sometime this week. I'm a little bit behind. A lot of work stuff going on, a lot of things going on. I want to try to get to them tonight if I can, and then I'll kind of do some shout outs tomorrow and focus on some new ideas. We got a bunch of new ideas to talk about, and we'll kind of get to them as we go along. All right, so today on this one, we're going to talk about trauma and semen retention. Our friend Optical Man kind of gave us a suggestion. I think it was a question or a comment. I can't remember which one it was, but it was trauma. He talked about a time, and it kind of hit my thinking as I wanted to talk about this one a little bit. So let's talk about the idea of how retention works. And so we go back to the whole idea is that we're looking at energy that a person has. So we're not talking so much about the physical body, the way it looks, but we're talking about the energy the body has within it. And then we talk about the chakras, and we talk about the energy sources. And if you don't believe in the chakras, you have to kind of come to the realization that there is energy inside of us. We have a lot of stored energy, a lot of potential energy that can become kinetic energy, moving energy, once we do things. So the idea that when you look at all the benefits of retention, what I've noticed, and this is 960 some days that I think I'm at a streak of this without releasing, and the idea is that you are basically kind of going back to your natural state little by little. So even if you release, it's going to take some time, but you're eventually going to get back to a natural state. So that natural state is going to be something that's going to allow you to protect yourself against a lot of things. Now, I have not been sick in a lot of years. I can't remember the last time I actually stayed away from work. It must have been maybe 10, 15 years. Through all the stuff we've been going through the last couple years, I've had nothing, no problems. I had a fever one day, I think, over the last 3 years. And that quickly dissipated, so it wasn't a problem. So the thing is that I think with retention, it's a stepping stone, obviously, for a lot of self-control, discipline, working a lot of things, like other things, like taking cold showers, trying to eat the right foods, working out, exercise. We've talked about that before. All those things come together, and now you build a strong immune system. Now, how does it affect things? We're talking about obviously affecting things overall, but now we get to an issue that Optical Man talks about, and that's trauma. Now, you can look at trauma in a lot of different ways, but obviously trauma is something that affects the person, especially in the mental way, the mental state. That person has confusion issues that happen, depression, different types of things within them, or they have a situation that creates trauma. Now, if you're talking about physical trauma, obviously something happens to them that create that. But we also have mental trauma that can occur as well. And so when you look at trauma, you're saying to yourself, okay, how does that relate to semen retention? Well, in my opinion at least, and this is just my opinion, I have no scientific research on this whatsoever, but in my opinion, when you look at semen retention, it allows you to become someone at a normal state, and your resistance level to things is much greater. So if you do experience some trauma, you should be able to become better than normally you would if you had semen retention. I believe that if you kept your nutrients within yourself, your strong powers, the trauma you have, whatever it might be, physical, mental, whatever it might be, is not going to affect you as great. Now, obviously, there's some things you can't help. God puts things in front of you for a reason. There's things you can't help. If you could have an accident and you got some trauma to the head or some other area, you can't help that. But God has also given you, the temple is your body, and if you keep your nutrients, all of a sudden, He's keeping you in a normal state, which is protecting you. You got all kinds of diseases, things like that in a normal state. Immune system becomes really strong. So the idea then of having physical, stressful types of traumatic situations, that probably will be offset to some degree. It's not going to eliminate it, but your stress level, those things I have not felt as bad. I could go for stressful situations, but I am not at the point where it affects me like it used to. Let me say it's like a feeling that I have is totally different. I'm a lot more calmer, a lot more relaxed, and I'm just kind of sticking to my goals. So if you stick to your goals and you work on things, you're going to try to offset a lot of those problems that you've experienced. And remember again, guys, it's always how you look at things. If this is not a physical type of thing, and it's something that's more of coming from how you're thinking about something, and it's creating a lot of stress, a lot of trauma, then that's something that can be helped by your retention. And of course, all the other things we're talking about as well. But the fact that you're in a state that is stressful, those things can be helped by the retention, because I believe your anxiety level, your stress level changes when you're keeping all the nutrients within your body. And that's the key to this whole discussion. That's why, in my opinion, all these people who have been saying all the years, go ahead and release and release and release, they're saying it's good for you because it continues to flow through things in your system. But the problem with that is it makes you more susceptible and weaker because you're losing it. And we're not saying once in a while is going to kill you, especially if you're procreating, you're having children. But of course, if you're doing it 6-7 times a day, you're not going to have the same sort of power and willpower and strength, mentally or physically or spiritually, to overcome the temptations. And all those things come back to haunt you, especially if you're in traumatic situations. Because now you're going to be a lot more stressed out, and you make more mistakes, be more upset. All these happen because you're not at full strength. It's almost like if you only get like an hour of sleep a night, and you do this for 4 or 5 nights, you're totally exhausted and worn out. This is something that wears you down. And so you can't make the same kind of decisions you did before. You can't do the same types of things you did because now you're more tired. And that's when temptation can hurt you. You know, I played football in college and high school. And I always remember the saying that being tired makes cowards of us all. And I think Mike Ditka, one of the old Bears coaches, said that. Tiredness, or maybe Vince Lombardi even said it, I'm not sure who said it, but someone said it, that being tired makes you a coward because you're not acting the same way. That's why with semen retention, that makes you tired. That's making you tired. You're losing energy. Now, for what reason? That's the question. If it's a question of having a child, that's one thing. That could be dealt with. God wanted you to do that. But in my opinion, all the other stuff is not a good situation. And obviously, it can create stressful situations, which doesn't help any kind of trauma you might be going through. And so when you talk about this, I believe that semen retention can help all kinds of stressful situations. So when people are depressed, anxiety levels, all these things, by using semen retention, keeping your nutrients within yourself, it's got to help you more than releasing all the time. In fact, I used to feel depressed and anxious when I was releasing. And I felt guilty and all these other kinds of things you feel because you're doing that. So I think Optical Man makes a very good point. There is a relationship when you talk about trauma, stressful situations, anxiety, all these things can be connected to semen retention. Because I believe that it's more easier, more tempting because you're tired and you're a coward. Not a coward necessarily, but warriors, you can become a coward if you release. And I know I'm talking to the choir here because we're part of the 1%. But those who you know around you, warriors who can be tough, who have toughness within themselves, they could succumb pretty easily with this whole thing if they allow themselves to get taken and tempted away and releasing all the time. But stressful situations will happen to you regardless. But you're going to be at your best if you're able to hold your nutrients and only use this superpower when you really need this, especially to have children. Because I'm going to tell you something, it's amazing the benefits. Again today, lots of compliments, lots of winking of eyes and things. It just continually astonishes me. But I can understand the superpower because you're rare. You're a rare commodity in this society, especially when everybody's preaching, releasing, girls, guys, having, affairs, all kinds of stuff. You're a rare commodity that practices celibacy, that practices things that hold self-discipline. So of course you're going to be looked upon. It makes sense. You're also going to be stronger. You're also going to be a lot more focused. You're also going to have a lot more strength, power within yourself. These are all good things. But remember, you've got to use them and transmute those things into positive good. And positive good and contribute in society so that society gets better. And you're following God's word. All right, my friends, enough for this morning. Hope you guys have a great day and hope you guys continue making conquest. And the biggest thing is overcoming yourself and stopping those temptations in the tracks before they get there. All right, 2 things, my friend. Again, first thing, every day is a new day to a great warrior. And the second thing is, what I'm going to say. It's time to battle on and take on the day. Take care, guys. Goodbye.